In this video, we are going to be talking about our best friend, shiny object syndrome. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand what even is it, when am I facing it, and what to do when I run into a situation like it. So again, we're going to be going over 3 steps here that you need to figure out in order to solve this. Now, for me personally, this video isn't meant to be entertaining. I'm going to tell you guys from experience what it was like when I ran into shiny object syndrome and how I got over it that allowed me to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if you want to really understand how this works and you're serious about scaling your agency, guys, this is the video for you. With that being said, let's dive straight into it. So the absolute first step that we need to look at here, I'm going to remove the little post-it notes here, is what? So we need to figure out, what is shiny object syndrome? Okay, what is it? When do I know that I'm actually facing it? Okay, so for this first example here, let's talk about what is shiny object syndrome. And just for an abbreviation, I'll be writing SOS here. So shiny object syndrome, in my definition, is when you run into something new. And there's 3 ways that you could run into shiny object syndrome, just specifically in an agency. So if you're in another business, this could also apply to you. But number 1 could be a model change. Okay, and a model change is you going from being an agency owner to a consultant. It's you going from, I don't know, like a IPGA or any of these fancy businesses, right? You jump from just a regular agency owner to some fancy business model. It could be you jumping from doing email marketing for clients to paid advertising. So it's actually a change in the model of service that you provide. That's the first option. The second form of shiny object syndrome could be in your offer. So it could be you jumping from performance basis to getting a paid in full. It could be, again, it could be service related. So you offering emails and now you're going to be offering paid ads for clients. It could be you offering paid ads and then jumping to a content agency. So you could either switch your model, your offer, or the last one, which is the most important, your channel. Okay, and this is the one that I see most people and that I ran into myself. It was actually a channel shiny object syndrome that I faced. And what channel is simply the acquisition channel that you're using to acquire clients. So this is the most common form of shiny object syndrome that I see myself in the past and my clients face. And with channel, it could be you jumping from cold email to doing cold DMs to get clients, right? With any agency, with a lot of you guys watching this, your main problem is getting clients. Like if you could just simply get more clients, you could figure everything else out. And so that's why channel is really the most dangerous one, and I'll tell you exactly how I ran into it. But with that being said, understand where you're currently at and what you have in the back of your head. Are you completely at 0? And so you're considering a different model change because you think this new business model is better. Are you at like 5K a month and people just aren't buying your offer and you're thinking of switching your service or niche? Are you, scaled up, or you're scaling and you've been doing cold calls and you hate it, you're in a lot of pain, and so you're thinking of changing your acquisition channel? These are all things that we're thinking about as entrepreneurs in the back of our head. And so just try to do a self-audit and see where you're currently at. Now, shiny object syndrome, in my definition, it is avoiding pain by trying something new. So a very simple definition here. So you could write that one down, guys. Shiny object syndrome is when you attempt to avoid pain that you're currently feeling in your business by going and trying something new and different. Okay, so as a clear example of this, if you are currently cold calling in your agency, and you absolutely hate cold calling, which I could agree, cold calling freaking sucks, but that's how you book all your meetings, that's how you've gotten all of your clients before, but you hate cold calling. So you go, this is you right here, my marker's freaking dying here, but this is you sad, right? And this sad version of you is cold calling. This is where we could have this shiny guy right here, SOS, shiny object syndrome, tell this guy, hey, I can make you happy. I can make you happy. You're sad right now cold calling. You're spending 4 hours a day on the phone getting rejected. I have something new and shiny for you. You could be over here on this side and you could be extremely happy if you just stopped cold calling and did cold emails, right? And this is the conversations we have in the back of our head. Think about it. Like, pretend this is John, right? You're John, and shiny object syndrome is literally talking to you and telling you, think about it, John. If we did cold email, you wouldn't have to talk to anybody. You could just do these automated campaigns and never have to speak with someone on the phone. Like, it's beautiful. It's exactly what we need to avoid this pain that we're feeling, because no human likes to endure pain. Discomfort, we don't try to be in a state of discomfort. Some people push themselves into discomfort. An example of this is I'm currently almost 24 hours into a 48-hour fast. And I'm hungry as shit, right? But I've put myself in this place of discomfort for some spiritual health benefits and all these different things. But it's the same exact theory right here. If you're going and cold calling every day, you are going through a lot of pain. And as a solution, shiny object syndrome, maybe you saw a YouTube video, maybe you heard a friend that's using cold email, he will tell you, hey, you should go try cold emails. You could avoid the pain. And what we don't realize is that shiny object syndrome, and the problem with it, is it makes us only see the good side of it. We've all heard the saying, the grass is greener on the other side. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, right? And that's the exact same thing you'll face here, because what you don't realize is that even if you stopped cold calling and came to do cold emails, you will face a new set of problems that is just as hard as cold emailing is. And maybe it's a different problem. Maybe it's your, email accounts are getting like banned and you're not able to send emails, and you're in such a new painful problem that if you don't solve the current problem you are at, this event will continue to recur, and shiny object syndrome will come back, because now you've turned from happy to sad, because you've been doing cold emails for long enough to realize that it's not all sunshines and rainbows, and now it's becoming tough. People aren't responding to your emails. You're not allowed to send a certain amount of emails. You have to do some manual work in between to get them on a call. And so you say, hey, I'm going to avoid pain again, and I'm going to try something new, because somebody else told me, hey, John, if all you did was switch from cold emails to ads, dude, imagine, you wouldn't have to be chasing these people down anymore. They would be coming to you, and you would be happy over here, because now you're doing ads. So why are you even doing cold emails anymore? Let's cut it out. The same way we cut out cold calling. Like, we're facing so much pain, agony, it hurts. I hate to do it. I hate to wake up and do this thing every day. That, hey, you know what looks really, really good? Ads. Because imagine all these benefits. You list out all these benefits in your head, but you don't list out the cons. And if you go and jump ship again, you'll go into ads, you'll spend $5,000 to learn how to actually do it, and it's not going to work. And here's the secret to this all. This thing right here, cold calling, this thing right here, emails, this thing right here, ads, they all freaking work. But you, my friend, that are dealing with this bad boy right here, shiny object syndrome, will never make any of them work. That is the secret. You won't make any of them work, because every time you run into a new obstacle or problem, you decide to jump ship because you see this new shiny thing and you are trying to avoid pain. And the second that you stop yourself, you draw a line in the sand, and you stop yourself from jumping ship into a new vehicle, and again, exchange this with models, with offers. Let's say here it's SMMA, and then here it's IPGA or some weird business model. It's the same exact thing. You run into problems, and to avoid the pain, you go and try a new business model, you try a new offer and service, you try a new acquisition channel. And until you put this line in the sand, where you say, hey, I am not going to jump ship and try something new until I have figured out everything in my capabilities to solve the current problem I'm facing, that is how you win. So an example of this would be with cold calling. It's a shift in mindset that fixes shiny object syndrome and allows you to scale. It's you understanding that, hey, and this comes with experience or with watching this video and just listening and doing what I say. If you're cold calling and you're experiencing pain, because you're doing it for 4 hours a day and you have to do client work and you have to do appointment setting or like sales. You have all these other things you have to do. You have to figure out how to solve the problem. So if the problem is you doing 4 hours a day of cold calling and you hate cold calling, but you're booking 5 meetings a day, you as an entrepreneur, this is a direct reflection on how much money you'll make. You will either go down 2 routes. I always use this analogy, but it's the same exact thing. There's a fork in the road. You are right here, and there is a clear fork in the road where you have 2 routes to go. You have route A and you have route B. Again, this guy right here, you, pretend that you are cold calling right now for 5 hours a day, you book 5 meetings a day, but you hate it and you don't have enough time for it. What is route A? Route A is to jump ship and go try this new shiny thing. And as a result, you will go from being scaled back down. So this will be a net negative. You will lose money here. And that, my friends, is a guarantee. And I'm going to get into a second how to evaluate when to actually jump ship. So stick with me here. So route A is you jump ship and say, hey, I hate doing this. I need to try something new. And you do cold emails. And what happens when you go and do cold emails? There's a 3-month turnaround time until you actually get good at the thing. Because you forget to realize that if cold calling was your first thing, you didn't get 5 meetings a day right off the bat. No, it took you time. It took you a lot of reps. It took you different script variations. It took you coming up with different objection handlers. And so you have 3 months of experience here in cold calling to get to where you're at. What do you think is going to happen with cold email? Are you going to get it right off the bat? Nope, you're not. You're not going to get it right off the bat. And so that's option A, is to jump ship right away if you're dealing with pain. Option B is to solve the problem and continue to scale it. Okay? So an example, if you're doing the cold calling, you could go and hire a cold caller for your business. That seems very daunting. I don't really know how to do it. Exactly. You have to solve the problem and figure out how you could get a cold caller in here to alleviate the pain that you're facing, because you're still doing something that books you 5 meetings a day. Okay, I hope that makes sense, because now you should have a clear understanding of what shiny object syndrome is, when you could face it, and why you shouldn't be jumping ship constantly, because that's how most of you guys end up failing. Now I want to, if you stick with me here, I want to explain something else. And it's number 2. The most important one. How? How do we actually solve this? I explained to you what shiny object syndrome was, but I need to explain to you how we could analyze when we're actually facing it, what questions we need to ask ourselves when we are facing it, and how to conquer it. Okay, the absolute first lesson that I will give you here, guys, in terms of, identifying already what shiny object syndrome is, where you're running into it, and what it kind of entails, you need to ask yourself this question. Can I do more or better of what I'm currently doing before trying something new? This, my friends, is the golden question you need to ask yourself. This is the difference. When you ask yourself this question, this is the difference between you staying stuck at 5K a month, or you going down because you jump ship into something, and you getting to 10, 15, 20, 30K a month. Ask yourself this question to be true to yourself. Can I do more? Can I do more, and I'll get into this now, or better of what I'm currently doing before trying something new? Okay, what does this mean? If you're doing cold DMs, okay, this is the channel that we're doing. And we're facing SOS here. We're facing shiny object syndrome. You need to ask yourself, can I do more? So write down, how many DMs are you sending? Are you sending 50 a day, 100 a day, 500 a day? Can you do more first? Before looking at anything else, can you just double how many DMs you're sending? And the previous example I gave you was somebody that was cold calling and it was working for him. A lot of you guys are trying an acquisition channel and it's not working for you. this is even more important. Can you do more of it first? So can you 2x? Can you 10x output or input? Can you 2x or 10x your input and output? And then if you can, and if you've done it, can you do it better? What's an example of better? It's split testing more DM pitches. It's tracking your number and seeing if you're within KPIs. It's making sure that you follow up with every single lead. It's also making sure that you even call these leads up, you provide more value, you make more content so people respond more to your DMs. So how can we do it? Test more content as well. So testing different things. This is for DM specifically, guys. We've already said we could do more. Now can we do better? Can we test more DMs and find one that gets us a better positive response rate? Can we make sure we're tracking our numbers correctly? Can we follow up more? Can we make more content to improve our response rate? You need to focus on this right here, on this, before you go and try something new. That is the secret. And that is the first thing you need to ask yourself when you're figuring out how you could deal with shiny object syndrome. Okay, another question, guys, that you need to be asking yourself is, what is the absolute worst case? Okay, so ask yourself, what is the worst case of the new thing? This is the second thing you need to figure out. If you are deciding to switch business models, to change your service niche and offer, or to change your acquisition channel, what is the worst case scenario and a realistic timeline and expectations of the new thing that I'm doing? And here's a tip that I've learned from experience. If the new thing that you're doing only has pros, don't do it. It sounds counterintuitive, don't do it. Because you, my friend, are self-sabotaging yourself. Nothing in business is only pros. There's always cons to certain things. Okay? I'm going to give you guys, in a second here, if you stick with me, a real example of how this happened in my agency. But you need to ask yourself, what is the worst case of this new thing that I'm trying? Okay? The other thing, this is the last thing on how here that you need to ask yourself, or you need to do, is write down your problems. So if you're confused, if things aren't working for you, or if you're struggling, you're unhappy in your day-to-day, get a piece of paper and just write down all the problems you're facing. And again, figure out how you could solve it before trying something new or pivoting or switching or destroying your business. And when you do find something new that you could do to solve this problem, whether it's hiring somebody, whether it's doing, a different acquisition channel, whether it's offering a new service, figure out what is the worst case of the new thing to solve that problem. A worst case could be the new cold email campaign, the new hire could not work. They don't get results. It could take 3 months until we have it dialed in. And if you have the realistic expectations going into something new, you'll make that new thing work. I'm not against doing new things and pivoting when something makes more sense for your business and your life. But again, you need to have a realistic expectation of what that new thing will bring. Okay? Because if you understand that you jumping from cold emails to cold DMs isn't going to be an easy thing, and when you go to cold DMs, there's probably going to be a month, 2-3 month process until you have the right pitch, until you have all the Instagram accounts, until you're sending the volume you want to send and you're getting the leads you want to get. When you have that realistic expectation, you're going to stick with it. Okay? So again, I'm not here to make a case against just trying something new and just staying stagnant the entire time. Business is always changing. There's new trends every single day. There's new waves. There's new metas, right, if you play video games. And so that's what we need to understand. So hopefully by now, guys, you have a clear picture on what shiny object syndrome is, on how I solve shiny object syndrome even today when I run into issues. Again, and I'll boil this down to 3 things for you on the how. Number 1, I would write down all the problems I'm currently facing in my business and see what possible solutions there are. Number two, I would write down if I can currently do more or better of what I'm currently doing before trying something new. And the last question I would ask myself is, what is the absolute worst case and realistic timeline of the new thing that I am going to be trying? When you've checked those off, you are now able to go and try something new. If not, you will self-sabotage yourself and you will not scale. Now, to get to the last point here for you guys, I want to talk about an example. Okay, and this will be very, very important here. I want to talk about a real life example of how this happened to me. So for this example, I'll be using two different markers here. And this was my business. I was at about 20K a month in my agency. And I strictly got there with cold DMs. I was sending about 500 a day. I was probably getting, I don't know exactly off my head, but 20 to 50 leads a day. And I was probably booking between 3 to 6 sales calls a day. This is how I got to 20K a month. I was sending about 500 all the way up to 800 a day sometimes, and getting 20 to 50 leads a day, 3 to 6 sales calls a day. And when this was happening, I faced a problem. And I didn't know what I knew from this video in order to solve this. But I realized that, hey, you know, right now my no-show rate is a little bit low. And honestly, I'm bored of doing the DMs. I wasn't sending these myself. Just for some context here, I had VAs here. And I had setters to call my leads, to set them as an appointment. So all I was doing was taking sales calls. And most of you guys watching this would be like, dude, if all I had to do in my sales process was take 3 to 6 sales calls a day, I would never touch what I'm doing. But I faced some issues. I got bored. I saw something shiny, and here's where we could let our friend in here. We could let SOS in here, right? Now we're big in red because this is exactly what happened to me. I had SOS in here, and hopefully you see this so I could erase this here. And so I decided, hey, 3 to 6 sales calls a day wasn't good enough. I want to get to freaking 30K a month. I want to have a higher show rate, a higher close rate. I don't like cold DMs. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do ads. That's what I told myself at 20K a month. And just for like a visual picture here, let's say right here is 30K a month. And right here is just like time. Over time, right, I was able to scale to call this like 25. 25K a month with DMs. And then here's where I faced the shiny object monster. And he was telling me, Christian, you have to do ads, man. You have to do ads. These people are going to be coming to you. You could just leverage your money. It'll be easy. You're going to get results quick. You could fire your VAs and stop managing people. That's what was going through my head. And so I let go of my VAs. I let go of my setters. Guess what happened? Revenue took a dip. Revenue took a dip because I thought ads was going to come in and take me from 25 to 50 right here, right after, no downtime. But no, it took a dip, and I didn't have the right expectations for ads because ads do work, and I currently run ads. But it's taking me way longer than I thought it would. I didn't know that the grass wasn't greener on the other side, and I thought I was going to get results like that. And when I didn't get results like that, I freaked out, I panicked, and all hell broke loose. Because revenue dipped, and it took so long to just get back up to 25, 30K a month. Okay? So understand, like, this actually happened to me, guys. This is a real example. 25K a month with DMs. I told myself it wasn't good enough. I told myself I had all these problems. I told myself that ads was the shiny new thing. But the entire time, I didn't try to solve the problem I was facing. I didn't try to make content to pre-sell people, get them to show up, get them to close at a higher percentage. I didn't have the skill and ability I have today as an entrepreneur to realize that I needed to solve my current problems to get to 30, 40, 50K a month. I didn't realize it. And looking back, that's not something I regret because I learned. I learned a lot trying ads with turning off my DMs and having all this overhead and being low, low margins, like I learned so much here in this dip that's allowed me to scale, beyond past that. But hopefully this makes some sense, guys, and hopefully you guys learned a lot from this video. Be careful of shiny object syndrome because it can destroy you guys, and it nearly destroyed me. With that being said, if you want my help scaling your agency, and you want to learn more about that, you could go down below in the description. There should be some type of link where you could talk to me, and I'm more than happy to help you scale. I have an absolute blast of testimonials on my Instagram. Every single person inside of Spartan Scaling is crushing it, and so I will die on this hill and sell to you guys ethically and tell you that if you're not in Spartan Scaling, I don't know what you're doing, because we have an incredible community, incredible amount of people that come in and teach everybody in here, as well as my one-on-one support, which is the one thing I wish I had when I was first starting off. But even if you're scaled up, I work with you guys too. So with that being said, guys, like, sub, freaking comment, do all that stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video.